Suicidal critics. Oh, just kidding. Nobody's gonna do suicide. Well, not any one of you here on Rauta channel. It's time to do a monthly classic review, and as you can already figure out from the name of the video as well as on the picture on the background, new feature by the way, please give me feedback if it's cool or useless. If you like it, I will have these cover images or other band related images going on the background while I'm doing reviews, and if you don't like it, well, let's just scrap it. Less work for me if you don't like it. But that's enough about that. So, Abyssic Hate from Australia with Suicidal Emotions. What a gloomy title for an album. And as you can see from the picture below, beneath me, behind me, so hard language to speak, non-native language. You can see this guy who is all cut up with, scars, kind of depressed, looking like almost hung himself on the background. I don't know, but it creates the perfect feeling for the album here. As you can pretty much already know, or whatever, I'm not a suicidal depressive type, yet I have a sweet spot for soft spot. What I'm talking about, hard language. For this kind of music, depressive or otherwise, depressive or depressive suicidal black metal is actually one of my sub genres, and I every now and then go back to those atmospheres, those feelings, emotions, and whatnot, because wallowing in darkness and solitude and these kind of things is just so not fun but great every now and then, especially when it's like total darkness in Finland for a few weeks around Christmas time, which is, I think, the gloomiest day of all days in Finland. But that's enough about Finland. This is an Australian band, like I said, and now it's time to unbox the release. I have had this going on with me for so many years. I don't exactly recall when I bought this, but it must have been something like around 2000 or so. As you can see, 4 tracks, quite lengthy ones, and that last track is actually outroed by a dark ambient piece, which actually I think got me around the genre later on, or among the same time when I got to know this band. Too bad this band basically never made anything to go with it, no second album or whatsoever. There's been a little bit talk about sort of split coming up, but since those are rumors, which I at least haven't confirmed yet, no reason to mention them. But anyhow, for now, this is the only full-length album. And why I'm keeping this layout is that I don't know if you remember, but this kind of text was a kind of a thing back in the early 2000s, this appropriate listening mode, maximum volume. At least I remember, I think it was a Disaster band from Germany which had the similar kind of thing going on. Now, unlike so many other albums in the genre, when we go more kind of a deeper and more kind of a, I don't know how to say it, more kind of marginal black metal, there are no lyrics always. There's more about just getting those I cut myself and now I'm laying around in my bathtub kind of pictures, kind of underlining that this is all anonymous, non-lyrical content, which is all about just having those deeply dark, gloomy, sinister pictures with people dying, committing suicide and whatnot. I can understand it, but I always like when an album has lyrics. Now, getting back to this middle part of the CD booklet, as you can see, the author is written by Rauta. I don't know how to pronounce it, so forgive me about that. But anyway, as you can see, this is the type of era when things were more about information, not so much hidden. They're like thank you lists, and as you can see, this is dedicated to a certain person in a certain German black metal band. And well, like I said, Horizon Data is a great dark ambient band with great atmospheric parts. Now, that's all about the covers and whatnot. it's time to talk about the music. Many of you already know the album and you're like, okay, I don't need to watch this review because I already know what I think about it, and this bald head won't change my mind for the good or bad. Um, the thing is, Abyssic Hate is one of the better ones in the genre. If it only had more releases, it might be well, the best one. But based on one album, it's so little what we can actually say about the whole genre. But it's one of those, I think, in a way, it's one of those pioneering albums of suicidal, depressive black metal. But the curious thing is, not all the riffs here are actually that dark. I mean, there's little uplifting moments here and there which kind of create this nice contrast for the guy on the background on the cover of the image, as well as the really dark ones on this album. Those who know the music already know that it's very monotone, even though the tracks are really long and lengthy and all that stuff. It doesn't get boring. It's kind of hypnotic in a way, you know. Some of those riffs are just, you know, getting there, boring into your skull and expanding these emotions inside your brain, which I think with this album is doing fantastic work. In general, any album with these lengthy tracks is kind of a doomed to fail to its own repetition or a lack of feeling, but this is one of those exceptions that actually make this one really enjoyable. Only 4 tracks and all of them are pretty lengthy, and it still manages to keep itself together with some superior atmosphere. And the production, the selection of sounds on this album actually play a big part how this album makes me feel, because it's kind of a noisy, it's very electric, kind of a fuzzy in a way. It's like a zzzz, instead of, you know, being clear or strong or anything like that. It's in a way raw, but totally different style than, say, some Ilyarn albums. So where they are more like violent stuff, this is more of the kind of hissing, noisy, electric kind of a stuff, which is just perfect in my opinion. Well, near perfect anyway, for this kind of music. Obviously now, some 18 years later or whatever, when I got this album in the first place, it feels maybe a little bit worn out in terms of how albums have changed throughout the years, because it's not like this is kind of a album which just defies time and space in the ways like some, I don't know, early Dark Throne albums go with their also kind of a hissing production. But meanwhile, they are more raw and kind of grim. This is just, you know, different ways of creating this weird atmosphere for this album. But I don't know, it works for me, and I don't know if there's actually anything wrong with that, but it kind of feels a little bit distant now, like kind of a mark of a certain era, if you know what I mean. And if you don't, well, then you just should go on and listen to the album and try to figure out what I'm talking about here. Now, this album, so many ways, marked, for me anyway, the whole meaning of this subgenre. And I don't think any other band actually reached the levels of this, or strength of, or intensity of this subgenre. Maybe some early Shining works in some ways had, but it was also a little bit different. So in my books, Abyssic Hate is definitely one of the better albums of all time, maybe, but especially in this particular subgenre, I think it's the king without crown. It should be coronated and put a high place to just like, this is the thing you're referring to when you're talking about suicidal, depressive black metal. Not some crappy ass album with some crappy vocals and stupid pictures and whatnot. But this is all it's in essence, what it's, for me anyway, supposed to be. So, without further ado, without more babble, go check out the tracks online. It's already at least on YouTube, maybe other streaming services as well. And have a gloomy, sinister New Year's Eve, or maybe a great one. I don't know, but enjoy, and happy 2019.